We're here in Shepparton, which is in the northeast of Victoria, and we're here at Uniting Care Cutting Edge to pick up the vehicle that I'll be taking around the country for my national Challenging Homophobia tour. Many people have asked if this is like Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and if I'm going to be in a bus, and this is something that Cutting Edge use quite often for a lot of their youth programs in region. So rather than being more Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, it's going to be more Leyland Brothers. And so I introduce you to Bruce, our 2006 Born Ranger. Let's get on the road.
I told you. I checked, I didn't look under.
So who's this?
This is Bruce, complete with Rainbow Rush car freshener. This is a sign that the tour is going to be successful. Let me get into Bruce for the first time. Ooh, it's hot.
What on earth was that?
Well, what?
What on earth was that?
What's that?
You have to use your hand to wind down the window.
Yeah.
Jesus. What is this?
Only the best.
What is that?
I think there was a RuPaul number when I turned on the radio, so again, it's another sign. Yes, I wound down the window with my hand because only the best for the Beyond That's So Gay National Challenging Homophobia Tour.
Good to know.
And the best thing is that there's almost a full tank of petrol. Diesel. My story really begins here in the northern suburbs of Geelong. A little bit more, I guess, rough and tumble than most suburbs around the place. My father is and was a policeman in the area, and this was pretty much where I used to kind of run around the streets and ride my bike. The other thing I'll say is that I'm standing in front of my old family home. I lived there until I was, from the time I was born through to when I was 18 years of age. I had to leave here when I was 18 for my own safety, and that was related to, I guess, family stuff, including the fact that I was gay. So right now I'm feeling quite emotional. Lane High is where I spent all of my secondary school career, and as opposed to my primary school experience, it was very, very difficult for me to come to high school. My experiences at secondary school were quite difficult. You could say that I was bullied quite a lot physically and verbally. It was quite tough for me. So as opposed to my primary school experience, I don't have a lot of good memories about what happened here. Most people do believe that it's the experiences of not having a great time here at secondary school that led me to do my Challenging Homophobia work. However, that would be a simplistic and romantic idea. My ideas for Challenging Homophobia didn't actually come from my own experiences here, they came from somewhere else. It was actually here that the seeds for my work in Challenging Homophobia in schools were planted. This is the old post office. The City Greater Geelong Youth Services had a project here to support gay and lesbian young people called GARTH. I worked here between 1996 and the year 2000. It was the experience of the gay and lesbian students who I supported here that led to my work challenging homophobia in the local schools and the very first school I worked in, an all-boys Catholic school. If I needed to banish my own demons about what happened to me in school, believe me, I would have quit this work a lifetime ago. I was so frustrated and disappointed, and I wanted to do something to support those young people that I asked a lot of teachers, I asked a lot of workers and organisations, and they all said, well, you're going to have to wait. And they told me to wait for the Education Department to implement policy. They did, 11 years later. They told me to wait for an inclusive sexual health resource that was going to be launched, and they did, 7 years later. I was also told to wait for more experienced workers to find a solution. But the way I saw it, the young people that I was working with actually didn't have the luxury of time to wait, and so I decided not to. It's no mistake that I commenced my journey in Geelong. Not only is it my hometown, but it's the place where I set my foundations for my Challenging Homophobia journey. Everything I learned in my formative years here, in my work with GASP and other projects, are the things that I still draw on to this day wherever I am. So when it gets overwhelming, so I'm flying to Warsaw to run this worldwide meeting and going, why are you picking me? Tasmania is asking to roll out my program in every state school, and I'm going again, where's that coming from? Or I've got 200 growling teachers before me like this. I try to remember the lessons I learned here in Geelong, and that's being sincere now. And I only ever wanted to make an immediate difference for a small group of gay and lesbian students who I worked with in the late 1990s. I remember that I was once a naive volunteer who had a head full of ideas, but no way of making them a reality. I really wanted to do something, anything, however small, to make a difference. Then a light bulb moment. Daniel, for years you've been working in the community sector. You know how to work on the smell of an oily rag. You don't need that much funding. So, like at other times in my life, once I decided I didn't look back and I decided I would self-fund this, I would get some in-kind support and hopefully some goodwill from as many other people as is possible, and that has happened so far. Yet all of my stress, doubt and concern washes away when I have a joyous and unbridled conversation on the phone or in person where someone says, "It's about bloody time." I've heard a lot of that lately, and there are, right now in Australia, there are thousands of people who are wanting to share and hear stories, who want to get some strategies to be able to challenge homophobia in their own communities, and also they want to cooperate with their regional cousins. Just finished the Pride and Prejudice Facilitator training, the first one on the 38-week tour that I'm doing around the country. I'm about to go straight from that facilitator training into the next room next door, which is the local gay, lesbian, bisexual and transgender support group. So the people who attended the training were really excited about it, they were eager to learn. I'm really, really confident that they're going to take it back to their classrooms and their other educational settings. So if I'm looking at you now, that would be okay?
Yeah, that looks good. So it's not too objective, so it's still we're having a conversation, so the audience feels part of the conversation.
Yeah.
But it's not too freaky, because if you look straight down the lens, sometimes it can be a little disconcerting. This
in my back pocket.
Actually, let's just drop this down the shirt first.
Woo!
Pull that.
Pull. No? Oh. Is this going to be visible to the viewers?
Yes.
Is this what it will be like if ever I'm on 60 Minutes?
Ah, they get someone else to do this.
Very frightened for him.
You're frightened for me?
Mm-hmm.
What makes you frightened?
Because people are knowing you're coming, and if there's bad people around that might get in groups, bashes, or that's my most concern.
I visited actually two groups that are operating down here. One's more on the kind of Bellarine Peninsula, which is a little bit more isolated from Geelong, and one right in the city of Geelong. And certainly what I've found from them so far is that even though they have found kind of these support networks and they are having a positive time of it, they've had to go through a really rough trot to get there. So that's unfortunate, but the fact that there are supports in place and they kind of evolve into their own is a positive thing. But really, is that really a story that's that different to what we've seen over the last 10 to 20 years? Well, homophobia. We all have a right to live where we want in Australia. We all don't live in capital cities, nor do we all live on the east coast of Australia. We all deserve to feel safe and supported wherever we call home. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but we have what we need to make a bloody great start. We can get better, and we need to get better. If a young gay atheist from Geelong can challenge homophobia in Catholic schools, imagine what a national network of competent, confident, supported teachers, health professionals and homophobia-curious others can do.